I'm going to be honest. I'm mad that we can control the weather and we still haven't figured out how to teleport.
Yeah.
If you are going to war with somebody and you have the upper hand because you can control the weather on their land and make it a storm and conditions for them to fight in, oh man, you are killing it, 100%. Right?
I mean, these are the same people spending millions of dollars on a bomb that turns people gay. Allegedly. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Tahir Moore.
And I'm Area 52 intern, Mike Glazer.
And this is another episode of High in the Sky, the podcast where we get high.
And we ask why.
Allegedly.
Today's
going to be a very, very eye-opening episode. I got a little pissed off. I found out some stuff that even I didn't know. Because this one is unlike a lot of the conspiracy theories that we bring to the forefront. This one is very easy to believe in. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you are a person that gets down easily, this one's going to be a bummer for you, right? But the takeaway is going to be equipping yourself with knowledge. Because in the grand scheme of things, that's really all that you can do. Just be aware, be equipped, know what to look for, plan for.
Well, you make me think of the More You Know Star Rainbow, except that the rainbow is poison and radiation.
It's all chemtrails.
And just zinc and just horrendous poisonous gases brought on by the U.S. government with a star at the end, like the more you know.
Yeah, let's just dump into it.
So 2 types of trails. We have the contrail, which is a condensation trail, and then we have the chemtrails.
Let's just tell the people at home the difference for those that may not know.
Sure. Okay, so basically, when an airplane is zooming along through the exhaust, you're creating heat and you have the exhaust fumes going backwards. And when that heat mixes with the clouds in the upper atmosphere, which are cold, hot plus cold equals condensation. Right. So like if you think about like taking a Coca-Cola out of the fridge and then it grows up to room temp and then you have those delicious beads of sweat going down it, you know?
Sexy.
Ooh.
That's what they need to put on the front of a sports illustration. Don't I look delicious?
In my high school, Parkway North, St. Louis, Missouri. You heard of Parkway North?
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
Parkway?
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the Coke machine, actually, because the Coke machine, and I can't believe it was in our high school. It was like a Coca-Cola machine, and it had the sweaty, delicious-looking can of Coke, and then the ice across the top was shaped like a naked lady. And so the ice going down was her hair, and you had like bosom, and the ice across the top of it was a subliminal naked woman. I swear to God, if anyone can find it.
If anybody can find that, post it in the comments.
Crazy.
If you've ever seen that right before, it's crazy that you remember that, you little perf. But if anybody else has seen that, please post it in the comments because I feel like Mike might be making this up. So post it in the comments if you remember seeing your soda machine like this at your school. That's wild as hell.
I swear. All right, if I wish I could. All right, they'll find it. Okay, but anyway, so that's what a condensation trail is. It's when hot mixes with cold equaling sweat.
Okay,
and then we have the chemtrails, which I firmly believe in. I think that you might also.
I do.
Yeah?
Very
okay.
much so.
So those, I mean, obviously it's short for chemical trail, but it's not only like that it's a chemical trail, but it's what those chemicals are. Yeah. And that's what this episode is about. What are they dumping on us?
Allegedly. Yeah.
And why? And who is they? Well, it's the government. But yes, that's,
clearly.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. You know,
total clearance.
The people who haven't solved homelessness because they're like, let that be an example to you that if you don't get in line, you'll end up on the streets. Yeah, they're also dumping stuff on us.
Especially other people on the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one man standing outside the Rite Aid on the corner yelling they're dropping it from the air. Yeah, you're probably right.
Now you believe him.
Now
here's the thing, though. Condensation trails will either dissipate quickly or within a few minutes, right? So if you look up in the sky and you see that line right there and there's no plane around it, you wait a couple minutes, you still see that line. Guess what that isn't? It's not a contrail. It's not a condensation trail. You know what it is, though, Mike? What? Do you know what it is? It's a chemtrail.
Come on.
It's a goddamn chemtrail.
Really?
Okay? Yes. Yeah. I remember as a kid looking up at the sky and seeing these trails in the sky and asking my mom, like, what is that? And her being like, oh, those are probably what they are controlling the mosquitoes with.
It's a huge problem in Missouri.
And I accepted that because Google wasn't out. However, I also remember trucks driving through the neighborhood. When they were spraying for mosquitoes, in the beginning of summer or throughout summer, they had these big-ass trucks that looked like the street cleaners, or they had like the tank on them, and they would come through and the smoke would go up and they would do it around the trees. So they did it at a reasonable level, which made sense for mosquitoes. Not in the air.
Yeah.
30,000 feet in the air. Mosquitoes ain't up there.
No, they're not.
Chemtrail. They're controlling the weather, okay? They're controlling our minds, and possibly worse. I'm telling you, it's more to this than you know, and I don't trust the government at all. I'm gonna be honest with you.
This is when you stop trusting the government?
Well, no, this was just like the nail in the coffin.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, because this is like, like that one
No,
chick
this is when they pried it back open and then hammered it shut a second time. What are you talking about? This is the nail in the coffin.
This is like the girl that you want to like, but she only gives you a little attention. She gives you enough attention to like lead you on. But this was enough. This is her leaving me stood up on prom in the suit that I picked out, color scheme for her. Rented this limo. And she no call, no show.
And you're like, this is the end.
This is it. This is the nail in the coffin for me, baby. Oh yeah, you ain't gonna keep playing in my face. Now I know. Now I know what to look for.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what was her name?
Don't worry. Governmental, yeah. As we said, we kind of told you the difference between contrails and chemtrails, and we're going to tell you what could possibly be in these chemtrails. We're going to tell you about some past experiences where the government has conducted experiments on cities unknowingly.
The city's not knowing.
The city's not knowing.
Yeah.
The government knew exactly what the they was. They always know what they was on.
Yeah.
But the people in the cities and some of the people affected by this had no idea. To the point when they went to the doctor's like, "What? Wait, what the is this? This isn't even indigenous to us. How did this get here? How did you get this inside of you?"
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. I'm ready. Let's.
You want to go?
Oh, well, listen.
Let's go.
As we said before, and we say on every episode, do your own goddamn research. We ain't your teachers, we ain't your parents, none of that. But we are gonna drop some heavy shit on you. And the stuff that we drop in this every episode, I encourage you to do a little further research on. It will blow your mind. But again, allegedly. Everything we say, just imagine an imaginary allegedly after we finish, okay? This is not law. This is not Bible. These are just things that we happen to come across when doing the research. It's a conversation amongst friends. That's all it is.
And let it be known that Tahir just referenced the Bible as fact.
For some people, the Bible is more law than law. Okay?
That's true. That is very true.
That's very true.
That is very true.
You get in middle America. Yeah, you get in Kansas.
Yeah.
North Dakota, South Dakota. Heavy Bible thumpers. I remember trying to catch the Holy Ghost a number of times at church to the point where I faked it one time.
Did you?
I fake caught the Holy Ghost. They knew I was faking only at the end. Cause I could dare it. I tell you, I could hey shout out hey shout ba 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 hey right.
I'm about to throw water on you.
I'm doing all of that well. It got to the point where I was close because I was in the choir stand. The choir stand is elevated, right? So I got close to the edge of the choir stand, and it was like at knee height. So like if I had kept stomping, I would have flipped over. So I was like, hey shout out no. Then I stopped. And he's back. Nobody said it, but I saw the looks on their faces when everything calmed down. They was like,
yeah.
You don't know the Lord.
My ghost is very careful. He's a very conscientious ghost.
I've seen people be in the spirit, catch the Holy Ghost, fall over chairs, right? And they get up in that moment. Maybe it's their adrenaline. Maybe this adrenaline. But you're going to feel that tonight.
Yeah.
You're going to feel that tomorrow. I was just trying to protect me. I was in school. Okay, I was very active. I couldn't have a bruised knee, and I had tennis 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right,
Had to have happy feet, baby. All right, but as with a lot of conspiracy theories, they often contain at least a grain of provable truth. Well, with this one, just 2 tractor trailers full of truth. Okay, 2 of them. Government testing. 1950 to 1970. In the 1970s, Americans were learning about at least 2 incidents in which the U.S. government conducted secret biological and chemical weapon testing on civilian populations, unbeknownst to the civilians, okay? And without their consent. until whistleblowers and journalists made them public. Here's another thing I want to address. We need to change the name for whistleblowers. I don't just want y'all to like comment on this one. I want to get a petition going on this. We need 5,000 signatures because I don't know if you guys know that, but there was another whistleblower about one of the AI programs over there. It's something overseas, and he just was found in his apartment
dead
a couple days ago.
Unalive?
Yes, because
really?
he whistleblew about the complications and potential harm that this AI program could do.
Sure.
Became a whistleblower in the news. People were checking on him. No response. They did a wellness check.
Wow.
And this just happened. But this is no different from the guy that was a whistleblower at Boeing earlier this year.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Talked about the safety requirements not being met for these Boeing planes. Came out. It was all over the news. Everybody picked it up.
Mm-hmm. And both of them died of natural causes.
Boy, shut the up. You're not going to play in my face this episode. Because I'm taking this one very near. And you should too. They did this shit in our hometown.
I know. All right, enough. Of course, I believe in chemtrails. Come on. Whistleblowers, every whistleblower to me is a hero because they are going not only against the grain. I believe that they have the American public's best interest in mind when the government doesn't. Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, no more trolling around with you. Yeah, let's get into it because you're right. This hits so close to home that it is home.
It's crazy because further in the episode, we're going to get into when people find out about these experiments being conducted without consent, and without any regard to the public. It's usually another government organization that is bringing it to the forefront or bringing light to it. But in reality, is another government organization going to like really chastise another government organization?
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah. They're going to put on this dog and pony show. Oh yeah, we're bringing this up. But at the end of it, it's always, I guarantee it's always going to be inconclusive.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't find enough evidence. Not enough information was gathered to really make a official statement. It's always going to be that because they're not going to turn their back on their own. And I feel like as the public, as people, we are out here by ourselves until we like do an uprising or something like that. And let me state right here, because somebody would love to clip this all together or take that little bit. I'm going to try to string all my words together so you can't even do it like that. You can't even break it up. We are not encouraging another January 6th.
What are the Democrats going to do with January 6th? Or what if January 6th for the Democrats is what? Shrugging and doing the New York Times?
Well, I'm not just talking about that. I'm just talking about people as a whole. I'm not just talking about the Dems or the Republicans. I'm talking about people as a whole. I'm not calling for that, but I've like that it would be the only way that we may get some change.
I see what you're saying.
Okay. Because the that we're about to tell you in this episode should infuriate you. Yeah, I know it did for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
on January 6th, I went to the Capitol steps and poured myself a golden latte. As a libertarian. I said, absolutely not. And then I checked my Bitcoin in protest.
Well, in 1950, we're gonna ignore that. That's what you got to do sometimes. Right there. In 1950, the U.S. Navy released rare bacteria into the air over San Francisco, right? As part of a secret operation to study the vulnerability of major American cities to biological weapons, they said. Allegedly. This was their reasoning. Now, mind you, but they still didn't tell the public.
No.
If this is your reasoning for it, fine. Okay, cool. Let the people know so they know maybe to stay in the house. Okay, you can't stay in the house because you won't be able to tell if they stay in the house. That's fine. Let them know. Because in paper, they said that, the bacteria that we launched in the air wasn't harmful. It wasn't enough for it to be harmful to humans, right?
Once they got found out, they said that.
Well, I feel like they put that on the paperwork to cover their ass. And the paperwork wasn't made public. It wasn't made public until people started coming out sick, right? The military thought that the bacteria was harmless, so they say. But at least 18 cases of people had to go to the hospital with strange infections linked to said bacteria. And they get to the hospital, and the doctors are like, where have you been? This You shouldn't have this here because that's not here. This belongs somewhere else. And it really stumped the doctor. So at least 11 people had these cases, and one patient actually died from the bacteria-related infection because it spread to his heart. Now, no one can understand why this mysterious bacteria was infecting these people until a quarter of a century later when reporters uncovered details about the operation.
Yeah.
A quarter of a century later.
That means on the government's POV might be, well, it worked.
It definitely is that
right?
POV.
Right?
It
like
definitely is that POV.
All these stupid little tech guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it worked.
Yeah. We got away with it.
Yeah.
It's too late to charge us now.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
There's no statute of limitations with the government. If you didn't catch us in the act, bitch, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. An investigation by the U.S. Senate actually took place, but it found it wasn't an isolated event or incident.
I can't believe that. What? You mean the judicial system that is run by the government didn't hold the government guilty?
Well, I know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the U.S. Senate did a investigation. They found that this was not an isolated event, meaning that this had happened before. They had done this at least one more time in another place and had not told the civilians there either. This is just what the government has the power to do. Without our consent, without our knowledge.
The thing is, every single time they do that to the American public, I believe the reason they do it to the American public and not overseas is because that's a declaration of war.
It absolutely is.
You do that to another country, that is a declaration of war. We came for your people, we messed up your people, and now your people got by us. That is war. You do it to us, and we say it's under the guise of safety to keep us safe from war and things like that. And they're like, these patsies, by the time they find out about it, like there's going to be a new season of Matlock on, so let's all relax. You know what I mean?
Miracle.
Like, it's crazy.
It really is
crazy.
It really is crazy. And we're doing our best to like keep it lighthearted and you know, jovial and joke and stuff like, but it really is crazy.
Yeah.
That's just one operation. There was also another operation called Operation Large Area Coverage. The U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide, a fine fluorescent powder, at schools, from cars, from planes. This
you want to say it again for the people in the back?
Where we from?
St. Louis?
St. Louis. They did that where we're from and didn't tell anybody.
Do we want to do a deep dive into what it's like growing up in St. Louis? Well, you have a very different experience.
We do. We had
two different experiences.
Absolutely.
Did you grow up in the city?
I grew up in East St. Louis.
In East St. Louis.
Went to school in St. Louis.
I believe that the amount of people in the government who think so less than of not only St. Louis, but also the underprivileged people in St. Louis, that it is seen as a like festering boil on this country to some people. And the very idea of being like, let's cover school children's arms in cadmium zinc and just see what happens.
See what happens.
It's so up. And
that works.
And like this doesn't feel like a conspiracy episode, if I'm going to be honest. This is like, yo, here's a bunch of receipts against the government where like you have land, sea, and air, and you are using all of it to experiment on the citizenry.
I agree.
I can't.
The conspiracy is going to come though, because even though we now know this information, we don't know exactly why they were doing it. Were they conducting these for?
Well, there was radiation in it. There was small doses of radiation in there, and so there would be like kids and people who would have like radiation poisoning because of it. And like if you're a small child, like you know your arms are tiny. It's not going to take as much radiation as a man like you or me.
You're a little guy.
Also, is this why I've had eczema my whole life?
I don't know about that, but this is definitely why my uncle has a horn. He has a horn on the side of his head like a goddamn rhinoceros.
What?
Okay, it's not normal.
No,
it's not normal at all. Okay, 1950s, right? It's this thing called Operation Sea Spray. So the military thought this bacteria was harmless, right? They thought it was harmless. But 11 people came into the hospital with strange infections. Now, doctors are baffled. I mean, gobsmacked. They don't know how these people have gotten this bacteria infection because the bacteria isn't local. So local government officials were told that the Army was conducting this experiment to shield St. Louis with a smokescreen from Russian planes. So in the mid-1990s, it came to light that this was not the case. They actually wanted to test this smokescreen on St. Louis because it resembled Russian cities that the U.S. wanted to attack.
Oh,
and
dude.
I'm sorry, I just gotta laugh at that because that's to think that worked. We were that ignorant because Google didn't exist. Like,
I'm sorry.
Like it was gonna be enough smoke to cover the whole city.
You don't think Russia wants to know the secret of Provel cheese? You don't think toasted ravioli is on Putin's radar?
This is you for the people at home. You don't think that Russian planes would be able to spot where Missouri is as a whole? That smoke screen is going to work so well that for St. Louis that they're going to be like, I don't even see Missouri on the map right now.
Where's that black hole in the middle?
What is happening right now? They just took it. Government officials just said, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense." They didn't question anything. It was revealed.
Protect Ozzie Smith at all costs.
Shout out to Ozzie Smith. My parents used to let me stay up to watch St. Louis Cardinals games if Ozzie was playing because he would always hit that backflip.
Yep.
And it was one of the most iconic things I had ever seen in baseball. So shout out to Ozzie Smith. We were just we were guinea pigs.
Yeah.
And that's all it was.
Yeah.
They keep adding lies on top of lies, but the reality is, what are you going to do? Even now that you know this information, what are you going to do? What can we do other than equip ourselves with more knowledge?
What can we do?
What can we do?
Man, I want this podcast to go out to the world. You can read my manifesto on Substack under... No, just play. I don't have a manifesto. It's all up here. Why would you write it down? That's the stupidest part of a manifesto. Yo, you don't trust the government, but you're going to write down something on the internet?
And put it on YouTube and put it on the timer.
Come on.
Put it on the timer.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The government only admitted to dispersing the chemicals using blowers, but some residents of affected areas recall green army planes passing overhead, releasing a powdery material that they had to wash off their arms and face one summer. Once the operation was made public, residents blamed the testing experiments for increased cancer rates, in the area, along with other health problems. Told you my uncle had that goddamn rhinoceros horn. There will never be a government organization that will chastise another government organization to a certain degree. Oh, they'll admit it, but they'll give you some bullshit blanket statement like, "Oh, well, we didn't find enough evidence to conclude that what was done was harmful to the people in the affected areas."
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be like that. They're never going to own up to it.
But you can sue the government.
Good luck,
Really?
Good luck.
What if you hire Brown and Crouppen? Like you see some paid advertisement at 1 a.m. after Sports Center, and it's arms covered in zinc oxide that you can't wash off, and now you're sleepy? Call Brown and Crouppen, and we'll sue the government.
Call the Amigo in L.A.
Call the Amigo.
He has the most billboards and bus stops advertising. Yeah, the ball head is always a cartoon. Call the Amigo. I think he's only for accidents, though. I think he's only for car accidents, though.
All right.
I will say this. This is not surprising by any feat. I remember my dad actually used to work for this company called Monsanto, my birth father. I think maybe one or two of my uncles did at one point. Monsanto was a big plant back where I'm from, and a lot of people worked there. It was a good, steady job. It came out a couple years ago, well, I'll say close to 10, that Monsanto had done a lot of illegal dumping. Right? A lot of illegal dumping to the point where it messed up the water. So much, in fact, that East St. Louis, state of Illinois, sued Monsanto for the illegal dumping because of the birth defects that it had on children born between a certain year. My cousins, and the uncle thing about the horn, I was joking about that, but 5 out of the 7 uncles I have all have some birth defect.
Whoa.
All of my cousins, all of my grandmother's grandchildren, with the exception of me, my sister, and I think 2 more of my cousins, all have some type of mental or physical defect. Not even joking. My little cousin Baron, he had these bones where it looked like he had 2 wrists, and he also looked like he had 2 elbows. Now, 4 of my cousins chose to have the surgeries. The other cousins, they just left theirs. But I'm talking real mental disabilities. 40-year-olds reading at a 3rd grade level all their lives.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my uncles, not a lot, a couple of my uncles chose to drop out of school because they couldn't do it. They couldn't deal with the constant they were bullied.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even their fault. It was so far out of their control. They didn't even know. One of my uncles had probably passed away 15 years before this lawsuit was brought forward. So he never even knew that his birth defect had nothing to do with him.
Oh, Jesus.
This affected so many people. This lawsuit was so big. And my mom was on me about filling out the paperwork. My cousins did it. A number of my cousins, my mom, my aunt, and a couple of my uncles did it. I don't know the total number, but it was a lot of people that took claim on this lawsuit, this class action suit. I got back a couple $100, right? Maybe like $600. Now I'm a grandson to my grandmother who was affected greatly by this, and all her offspring were affected greatly by this. My mom got a couple thousand. My uncle would have got a couple thousand. But a couple thousand for a life of ridicule and bullying. And even if he wanted to do better, he couldn't. He did not have the mental ability to be educated. He could not retain information. He turned to drugs. He turned to drinking. All because a company wanted to cut corners and do illegal dumping. We would have never felt this out. And it's like, I'm sorry, but this was just a heavy one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, who can we trust? You know, it feels like we live in a dictatorship moonlighting as a democracy. Because we vote to have these people in positions of power, CEOs, all of this type of stuff, and they still do what they want, face no consequences. As I said, no government agency is going to cast any real punishment on another one. And we just have to do the best that we can. We have to equip ourselves with enough knowledge so you can be the person that leads that class action lawsuit. So you can be the person that brings the awareness to your community, to your family. It might not change a lot in the grand scheme of things, but at least you will be aware. More aware than my uncle ever had a chance to. I remember, this isn't funny, but sometimes you have to laugh to pain. My uncle was selling drugs. My other uncle was doing drugs. The older uncle was doing drugs. And my younger uncle, I saw him selling drugs to my uncle. And I was like, what the are you doing, man? This is your brother. This is what are you doing?
Yeah.
And he, straight to my face. First he told me, we got to keep it in the family. You got to get that money, right? That was the first thing. But he was like, I'd rather him buy it from me because I know what's in my
Okay.
This was the mindset of that community because there were so little options. And because he and so many other people were affected by this dump, they didn't have the brain power to do jobs that required a lot of thinking, constructive thinking, critical thinking, anything like that. If it wasn't a physical job, I worked at a junkyard when I was old enough to go to the junkyard on Saturdays with my uncles. Worked this junkyard called Richards in St. Louis, right across the bridge, close to Highway 70. And then Cahokia, we worked at a junkyard called Martyrs. If you're from the Midwest, you're from that area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I worked there when I was 8 to probably about 12 years old. My uncles worked there, stripping cars of aluminum, picking up cans, breaking down alternators, getting the copper out of them, picking up pipes, all this type of stuff. They would work and slave in that sun 4 to 6 hours and make $40 to $80 a day, if that. Because these are the only jobs they qualified for.
And that money goes to drugs.
A lot of it did. Or drinking.
Or drinking.
Yeah. They were on SSI their whole life
Yeah.
because of the mental disability. They couldn't get any real jobs. They couldn't hold any jobs. They didn't graduate from high school. They couldn't get a GED. They couldn't go to college, so they couldn't get any jobs. It was a repetitive cycle. It was disgusting. It's because of stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I know that was a lot. I know that was heavy, but people need to know. You need to know that this type of stuff is going on. You need to equip yourself with this knowledge so you can kind of look for these things going on. What the are these planes doing here? They just gonna open up this new plant in this area? Where they gonna dump this shit at? You need to ask these questions because they're not gonna be honest and upfront with you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. They're not going to do it.
I don't know what to say because I feel like saying I'm sorry is like small
No,
and meaningless.
it's not. It's
but
not.
Also,
I appreciate it.
If I don't acknowledge not only how messed up that is, how terrible that is for your family, and you as a friend, how it feels like I'm like, oh, that hurts because I don't know how to process your hurt. But god damn, dude, that is so brutal. And I would never wish that on anyone. And you and your family and multiple families, not only in St. Louis, but I'm sure there's more. All of y'all enduring all of that is so sinister. And I don't know how to acknowledge it. And I don't know how to acknowledge how you're feeling. But it's important to call out. Goddamn.
Well, it's not much we can do about it right now. I definitely appreciate your kind words. All we can do is what we're doing.
Yeah.
In
True.
the grand scheme of things, this is, and hopefully will make a difference because the right people will get this. And I think with this new generation of kids that we have coming up under us, they don't just watch TikTok, they learn from it. We hope that they're getting the right information, but it's my hope that enough people will see stuff like this and just become aware of what's really going on in our world.
The most empathetic generation we've ever had.
Yeah, definitely. Emotionally aware, emotionally available, and they're intelligent. When they have problems, they seek out help.
They know how to weaponize social media.
They know how to weaponize social media, but they also know how to heal from their trauma, which is something I, as a grown black man in my 40s, didn't try to do until I was mid-30s. I didn't believe in therapy. These kids are in therapy in their teenage years, which is great. They're learning how to unpack trauma that I'm still moved out at 14. I swore I was never going to move back in with my mom because I saw all my uncles do it. And I was like, yo, you don't want your own shit. Like, you don't want to do better for yourself. And I carried a lot of disdain and resentment to them because they weren't the positive figures and influences that I wanted in my life, that I saw my counterparts with, my white friends, even my black friends that were in better neighborhoods. I resented it because I wanted better, but I didn't have that available to me. And when the class action lawsuit hit and I did the research on it, I feel so bad because for years I put something on them that had nothing to do with them.
And then you ran from it also, yeah? Yeah.
I had my first new car when I was 16. I drove it up the lot, 8 miles. I worked hard. I was a full-time student and a father at 14. I've been shot, stabbed, set on fire, kidnapped. All because of the product of my environment, even though I had nothing to do with that shit. But I knew I wanted more. And I wanted to be different from my uncles. So I worked hard, put my head down. I moved out at 14. I got my own together. I was working at White Castle's 3 to 11 after I got off work. I was like, I'm going to show them how this is done. I'm going to be the figure for my cousins, my younger cousins, my nephews. I'm going to show them how to do this. And I led with that, and that was my calling card. And you knew that about me. And y'all really his family. He work hard, but he get his work done. And I carried that like a badge of honor. And it wasn't even their fault. And I missed out on years.
Yeah.
Spending with my uncles. And I could learn the things that they did know. Because even though they weren't book smart, man, I had an uncle that you could like pretend to crank up your car. And he knew what the wrong with it. He would tell you, your starter gonna go out in about 2 months. I can tell you that's it. I had another uncle that could, this was Tony Stark. He could make a car in the cave with no light with a battery and 4 roller skates. That bad. And even though I couldn't see the positivity in them, I knew they had something, but I didn't think it was worthy of my time.
Till your mid-30s hit, right? And then all of a sudden...
And 3 of them were dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody talks about how that just stays with you and then it bubbles up.
So this new generation, I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to address this trauma earlier. I think they're going to find the needs. They're going to find the means to get it done. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect by any means, because it's not. But I think they are going to be a lot more vocal than any other generation in calling out people and the government on their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's fantastic. I think that's fantastic, because if you are elected to run this country and make the best decisions for the people that live in it, you should be held to a higher standard.
Civil servant.
You absolutely should. And I think it's up that all of these backdoor deals are going on, and all of it is really just to grease a palm with some money. But I digress. And what was falling from my eyes was actually condensation. So
condensation trail.
Yeah, it's a condensation trail.
Understood. My therapist, Peter, Tuesdays at noon. First thing he said to me when we started.
Yeah,
it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better.
Yeah. That's just life in general.
Yeah, man.
So the next couple things I'm going to talk about is going to be kind of like a timeline of a emergence of the truth. People becoming aware of what's actually going on. In 1996, the U.S. Air Force publishes a report about the possibility of using chemicals to manipulate the weather. Now, we've heard a lot about this. I think China was one of the countries that really was in the forefront of manipulating the weather. Conspiracy theories believe that the government was actively developing such technology for military use.
Yes.
Which, let's be honest. It's genius. It's genius. Like, if you are going to war with somebody and you have the upper hand because you can control the weather on their land and make it a storm and conditions for them to fight in, oh man, you are killing it, 100%. Right?
I mean, these are the same people. The government. You heard about the gay bomb?
I think so.
Yeah, spending millions of dollars on a bomb that turns people gay.
Yeah.
Right.
So they say.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah. But go on Wikipedia. Gay bomb.
Yeah.
Just give it a read.
It's Googleable.
Uh-huh.
It's Googleable. Then in the late 1990s, folks started posting their reports of chemical sightings in online forums. This is when the chat rooms and blogs start to become kind of popular. But it's still early. Like, the internet is still in its infancy stages, right? Moving on to 2001, U.S. Congressional Representative Dennis Kucinich introduces the Space Preservation Act, which seeks to ban chemtrails. Interesting. Then in 2010, Michael J. Murphy's documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying?, claims that government here and abroad is engaged in secretive geoengineering projects.
Facts.
I think all of that's facts.
Facts.
I think all of it's facts.
Of course it is.
I just, it's baffling to me that they would do that on home soil, on our people. But I also understand, like you said, as much as it sucks, as much as it's up, I understand, crazy enough, why they do it.
Oh.
If you are part of a group or team, organization that's leading the country, and you care about preservation of safety, you have to make sure these things work before you drop it on the enemy.
Sure.
And if you know doing this on another country is going to incite a war, where can we do this? You find some of the poor cities in the country to try it on. You find countries that are already, that cities that are already in despair. You find cities that have a low education rate, a high poverty rate. These are the places that you do it. And I know it's up to my core.
Yep.
But I see why they did it.
They think it's a necessary
deterrent.
Sure.
For
as a superpower in the world, when we feel like everyone's coming for us, Russia and China are aligning. Like there are games at play where there is more at stake than blank area.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is really just my stick is bigger than yours.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? America has not sold, I think it's an F-22. They have not sold one F-22 to any other country. The F-22 is a technological marvel.
Yeah.
When it comes to killing, blowing up, and destroying things. And there is a law in place that says the U.S. cannot sell that type of equipment to anyone else. It is really about whose stick is bigger. And they can kind of wrap it up and try to wrap it up in preservation of safety for the U.S. But when you're doing this type of sick on your home soil, it just kind of comes off kind of crazy.
We also have rats. Right?
We do.
We got rats.
We do have rats that you can put in a certain area, but again, then they're gonna be like, well, it's not a human. And then you just they try it on chips, and then you got these other, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because they do it on animals, they're worried about these organizations.
Right.
Finding out, right?
Right.
So they're like, let's just do it on humans.
Let's just do it. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, here's a suitcase full of cash. Yeah. 100%.
So based on what we've said already, based on what we just told you, what you know, do you think the chemtrails are more sinister than what was initially told to us? Put it in the comments. We want to know. Based on where we are right now in the episode, and it's going to be a long one, guys. I'm sorry, but just stick in there. It's so good. Okay. What do you think these chemtrails about? Are they for a defense deterrent for other countries? Is it for mind control? Because we're going to get Devin to that. Is it for to make us docile and more controllable, less likely to speak out against that's happening? Put it in the comments. I want to know right now. And mark it. Timestamp this. I want to know where you at with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, that's enough. I'm going to catch my breath. It was a hard cry.
Well, you teed me up perfectly for a couple of things I want to talk about.
Well, let's go,
which
man.
is kind of like the why. Why chemtrails? Like we've touched on it a bit, but on a broader scale, things like population control come to mind right away.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you could use chemtrails, like we were even talking about with St. Louis, like the idea of like a smoke screen over it. So if you could use chemtrails to block out the sun, let's say you do that during war and you go to a place that has cash crops and you need the sun and you just block out their sun.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. But now you have population control because nobody has enough food to eat. So then they're going to turn on each other. Everything is scarce. So like do you remember during COVID? I was at the Whole Foods on Fairfax during COVID. This is at the right beginning. Shout out to my buddy Joel Hadley because he told me from jump, he's like, you need a go bag. This is serious. And I'm like, this isn't serious. Cut to 2 weeks later. And I saw two grown men getting in a fist fight at Whole Foods over toilet paper. And they shut down the Whole Foods at 5 p.m. They were like, absolutely not. Y'all are fighting about toilet paper in a place that is overpriced and very expensive. Like you got to go. That is not what Whole Foods is about. We are about gouging you. You quit gouging each other. You know what I mean? And so like just the very idea of how quickly we will turn on each other.
Before we go on, I want to know, do people at home actually have a go back? I feel like this group probably has 65% of you guys have a go bag. And if you do, comment below, yes or no. And if you comment yes, what is in your go bag?
Parliament ultralights.
Okay. Wait the
because even people who don't smoke are going to want to smoke.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
But the Parliament?
Oh, yeah.
So you just had $7 lying around? That's it? That's it? You went with the Parliament ultralights?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, what else is in yours? Reese's Pieces, of course.
Yeah. Oreos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Twinkies, because they don't expire.
No. By the way, my algorithm, since we started this show, if you're watching it on YouTube, watch it on YouTube. My algorithm, I'm getting ads now for like batteries called patriot.org batteries for my go bag and stuff. My algorithm is out of control.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I've had a go bag since, I want to say maybe like 2008.
Whoa, really?
Little cash on hand, 2 outfits. I don't have a pair of shoes in the bag, but I have enough to make it to survive probably for like 2 weeks before I need to re-up on some stuff.
Yeah.
I got my inhaler in there because that albuterol is a must. I got to have that on lock.
And every zombie movie, somebody needs a albuterol, and then they get got by the zombies in the
zombies
pharmacy.
and aliens.
And
Remember,
aliens.
Signs.
Yes.
You always gonna need some albuterol.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so keep that on deck.
Dang.
Yeah.
Martin Scarelli heard that and just raised it to $10,000 in albuterol. Ah, that's a nice little market.
Hey, people are watching. That's the that raised the price on this, right? And that was the same dude that bought the Wu-Tang album.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one time I was working at Funny or Die, and his PR, because he was going to jail, his PR DM'd me and asked if I could do a Funny or Die interview with him. And I pitched it to Funny or Die, and they were like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the biggest mistake in the world. How could you not want to like yell at that guy for 20 minutes? I promise you nothing except for me to yell at you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Give him the business.
Yeah.
He's another scumbag.
What, am I going to let him plead his case?
No. See, what happened was I was raising this to make the insurance companies come up off my shut the up, Martin.
I do this the whole time?
Yeah. I smash your head.
Yeah.
I smash your head.
So population control.
Population control. I
Absolutely.
definitely can see that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Also, like, shout out Ted Gunderson. You want to talk about a dynamite whistleblower? I watched a couple videos with him leading up to this. He was a big part of the FBI. He leaves the FBI and he's doing 2-camera YouTube videos, throwback YouTube videos where he's pointing to orange chemtrails in the sky. And he's like, see these? This is poison. This is what the government is doing. I'm a former FBI chief. You've got to be aware of this.
Yeah.
Old boy he was like, shoo!
Yeah.
And letting the world know. He called them death dumps, which I think is very accurate. He was like, just so you know, I was in the government, and the government is doing death dumps on our country. Yeah, Ted Gunderson is the OG whistleblower.
Original.
OG.
Yeah, he created that.
The government is here to control.
Absolutely.
That is their game. That is everything that they care about. So, you know, the idea that they wouldn't do that through airplanes and technology is like mind-blowing. But it takes an FBI agent to, you know, add a little bit of truth to what citizenry may already know.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you knew about this. Speaking of that, there was Operation Meatball, and they were trying to get huge pancakes to grow all over the world and spaghetti and meatball to fall down. And that went haywire because the size of the food was so big that it was actually breaking houses. So you'd have an enchilada falling on a 2-story house in the middle of the suburbs. And that got real out of control.
He just threw that in there to make sure you guys are still paying attention. Okay? If you think Operation Meatball was a real thing, I need you to shut this one down, and I need you to go outside and touch some grass. Okay? Drink a cup of fluoride water and come on back.
Look it up,
join
dude.
us again.
Documentary, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Don't listen
Look
to
it
him.
up.
Don't listen to him.
It is a doc. We've all seen it. There's even a second one. It's not as good, but it holds up.
Do not do that. Don't take that. Okay. Those are all great possibilities.
Yes.
Another possibility of these chemtrails is mind control. Right? Some people believe that this is a way for the government to rid us of any type of pushback, make us compliant. All right, some theorists have pointed to the alleged confirmation by NASA that the government is spraying lithium in the air.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, lithium is a sedative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes you super chill.
Super chill. Great Nirvana song. Super chill song.
Super chill.
Yeah.
Song.
Also, shout out, have you, speaking of, Lana Del Rey has a song called Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Real chill song.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
100%.
Yeah. The dispersal of lithium could be used to alter our brains, possibly creating a passive population too numb by drugs.
Yeah.
And I think it's too numb by drugs to push back, too numb by drugs to question, too numb by drugs to disrespect authority. Any of those things. When you think mind control, I think people often go straight to do whatever you say, or, you know, like a sleeper cell. You hear a certain phrase or a certain word, you just snap to it, but mind control can literally be anything.
Yeah.
And the most effective one is when you have a huge population that does exactly what you want to do and never pushes back.
100%. 100%.
It is sick. It is sick to think that our government would do that. But imagine that weaponized, used on another country that we're at war with.
Okay, so I take Prozac.
Uh-huh.
It helps me balance out.
Yeah.
It helps me not be sad.
Yeah.
Imagine if you just sprinkled Prozac in the air. You know what I mean?
Everybody's just chill.
Everybody's just chill.
Goes
Imagine
with the
like
flow.
if you sprinkle, like I remember like David Crosby and a couple of other people were like, we need to release, LSD into the air vents in Congress, so that they can all trip out and find peace and love. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I love the thought behind that.
Yeah.
But what if you did release LSD into the air? Skin contact, all of a sudden you're out of your mind. Like you will lose your mind.
Well, you made mention of that. Prince was on a Tavis Smiley interview. He was talking about the one time he heard Dick Gregory speaking. And Dick Gregory spoke about chemtrails and inspired Prince to write a song called Dreamer. And in the song, he talks about sharing a childhood memory of seeing trails in the sky and then noticing everyone in his neighborhood started just arguing and fighting with each other. So could the government be spraying some kind of chemical that made folks more aggressive? And what would that goal be? Like, what would be the need for that? What would be the cause for it? What would be the reason for it? Is it to keep folks distracted? Is it to make an excuse to send the military to certain neighborhoods? Is it to, I don't know, come up with something that they could drop on our enemies? If you got the enemy's population fighting within each other, that's less work for you to do.
Dude.
If you drop that over a military base, and now all the military personnel are shooting at each other, deploying grenades within their own space, all you got to do is come through and just make sure everybody's dead.
Yeah.
You send 18 Marines over there, and they just doing double shots, double taps, pop, 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 for anybody that moves.
Yeah, 100%. So after leaving St. Louis, went to Chicago, lived there for a very long time, love that city, love it very much. Crime went up whenever it became summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it's so hot in the streets. Nobody has enough water. Nobody has enough shelter, food.
AC.
It's crazy. So if you think about chemtrails, and I forgot to touch on this, but like you can also use chemtrails to reflect the sun. You can either block it out or you can put certain chemicals in there that are going to reflect the sun, make everything hotter, make everything warmer. So you want to talk about another way to do mind control. Let's say you have Chicago and everybody is like, we need more police force. We need the police to get more money. We've already done everything we could with crack. We've already done everything that we can with the hippie movement and turning that actually into something bad instead of good. AIDS, now we have a cure for that, so we can't use AIDS anymore. So what are we going to do? Let's just make people violent as
Yeah.
And so we're just going to have chemtrails that reflect the sun, making it hotter, making everybody lose their mind. And then we have police that can go in and handle all of that, which means we're there for your safety, but actually we're the cause of this violence.
Yeah.
It's so sinister, but it's also not a wild thing to think.
It also like...
Oh, that was the mic I just dropped. What's up?
Okay. So after hearing that, you have to wonder, could the government actually be spraying some chemical in the air to make us more aggressive toward one another? Is that plausible? Is that a possibility? Is this something they would do? What would be the use of it? Why would they do that? So many questions pop into my head from this, you know?
But the answer to all of them is yes. Okay.
And bold letters, capitalized with an exclamation mark after each one of them.
100%.
100%. That is a very plausible reason for what they're doing, right? But what if it's not that? What if it's about controlling the weather? Like what you just said with the reflecting, making it hotter in the summers. You got scarce resources for food, water, AC. You know, I was watching some video on TikTok actually, and they were showing like all of these people inside of this shop. I want to say it was China, it might be China or South Korea. They show all of these people at the shop. They're playing games on the table, sitting on the ground and all that. And they weren't shopping. They were just in there for the air, for the AC. Because it was so hot. And again, I forget which one it was. They didn't have AC readily available in all of these homes or in all the areas, you know. So imagine a place like Seattle, where the natural climate is so chill. They typically don't make even the new homes with AC. They don't come with these units.
Yeah.
Imagine if they did something like that in Seattle and they took the average temperature from, I don't know, the summers are like 80.
Crisp,
right?
76.
76, right? And then they made this entire summer 100 degrees. And then the Best Buys and other tech stores only have a limited amount of ACs.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna start a crime war because people are gonna be stealing the units out of buildings. You're gonna get people shot. It would be total chaos and mayhem.
They're on eBay for $2,000, $4,000, $9,000.
Crazy,
right?
Right?
Yeah.
It's an easy way to do this, but it's an easy way to figure out how to incite chaos or a war within the country of itself.
100%.
Yeah, man.
100%.
All right, so what is geoengineering? So geoengineering refers to any large-scale effort to manipulate the natural environment, usually with regard to combating the effects of climate change, usually called solar radiation modifications, or SRMs for short, include a list of things, but not limited to stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening. But it's crazy that we've even advanced. I'm going to be honest. I'm mad that we can control the weather and we still haven't figured out how to teleport.
Yeah. Also, please go off.
I'm sick of it. All right. We were lied to by Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
We were lied to by the Jetsons. We were lied to by so many shows and movies. We should be so further advanced technologically. I think with traveling, right?
100%.
The fact that like economy still exists on planes, that's bullshit. But now y'all can control the weather. Priorities, people.
Mm-hmm.
Priorities.
May I add two things to that?
Please, I would love for you to add.
The Mag is the most overrated sneaker of all time. That is a hideous sneaker. It's from Back to the Future. It's so high, it's unwearable. So what if it lights up? Give me a freaking break. Is it worth $12,000? Absolutely not. There is more beautiful sneakers out there. You're lying to yourself if you love the Mag. It's overrated. Stop it.
But yeah, man. So I think we touched on enough. Yeah, man. I know we laid a lot on you on this episode, guys.
Yeah.
But there's so much more for you guys to research on your own. But I think we have enough takeaways to pose some great questions.
Mm-hmm. So a couple things that I'd like to just touch on in cloud seeding now that I've gotten my rant out of the way.
Yeah.
The government has, you can look it up. It's called Operation Popeye. What we did was we did cloud seeding where we tried to make rain clouds go up over Vietnam. Uh-huh. And that was to hopefully induce a bigger, longer tsunami season. Mm-hmm. So the rain would never stop. We would wash out their crops. They would not be able to march. We would just flood Vietnam, essentially, during the Vietnam War. It's called Operation Popeye. And so cloud seeding is a very real wartime tactic that can be used not just in Vietnam, but obviously any place, anytime, in any way. What if Twisters 2 is real? We've got these big, beautiful spirals.
Spoiler alert, everybody that's watching that hasn't seen, spoiler alert. We're going to talk about Twister 2 now.
Glenn Powell, amazing.
Yeah.
That's all I got. No, I'm just kidding. So, basically, what one of these teams is doing while they're searching for twisters is they're going to the decimated land and they're buying it up for cheap, right? Because your home is destroyed, you have nothing, maybe you have some insurance, maybe not, but you probably don't have enough. And so someone will go in there, cut you a check right now. Hey, let me just give you this free money. And then you move along and then you own that land and then you can build bigger properties. So what if we have a place like BlackRock, which we've talked about on multiple episodes, how they're buying up all the land, they're buying up all the homes. It's impossible for anyone else to get a home. So what if through cloud seeding, we're creating tsunamis, we're creating twisters, we're creating all of these natural disasters throughout the country, knocking over all the land. BlackRock comes in and is like, I'll cut you a check for $50,000 right now, but we're going to triple that. We're going to do insider trading. And next thing you know, all of our guys are making millions on your land and you're left with a bag of $50,000 and nothing else. So it's not too far-fetched to think that something like controlling the weather will be a capitalistic move. And it's just business at the end of the day, baby. Even within recent times, you've got Hurricane Helen, you've got the Maui fires. And I don't know if you remember when FEMA was like, we've got to get resources over there. And all these people are donating. Gal Gadot, I think, was singing Puff the Magic Dragon or something like that to rally the troops. I can't exactly remember, but she's always singing for some cause. And the whole time, FEMA's like, we're going to get these people out. We're going to save these children in the Maui fires. Everything's going to be okay. Trust the government. Trust the government. It's still decimated.
Yeah.
They're still buying up all of the land. Hurricanes. We had people in arenas, in stadiums, sleeping under thin wool blankets, barely enough food, people making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in their home to pass out to all of these people who have been unhoused. And the government is doing nothing but buying up the land. The government is doing nothing but all of a sudden that money from FEMA disappears. All of a sudden, all of our donations, our hard work, our community building goes the way of the winds, literally. And where's the help? Where was the help?
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy.
It's heavy.
So 2024, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee signed into law, like just pushed it through, a chemtrail ban bill. It doesn't exactly mention chemtrails, but it's like, here are all the things we got to ban. And I'm just going to read them. Technology such as SRMs, things that impact weather patterns like temperature and sunlight, targeted geoengineering technology, anything that messes with our air, Tennessee has put a stop to.
Good job, Bill.
On that bill.
On that bill.
On that bill. So, you know.
This is one of them episodes I had to take a couple of breathers with.
Yeah.
And it can always go deeper, you know, like the chemtrails and the hurricanes. Could it be with a political storm, right? They can manipulate the weather and cause. And now you got somebody that's like, oh, I'm going to make sure that FEMA always stays funded. I'm going to make sure that any person unhoused from a natural disaster is going to be first priority, top priority. And this is all just for the government's joy.
Yeah, pockets.
Take care of them, and then they take care of the finances. Now they own everything. They approve companies like BlackRock and other things to operate in these places and buy up all this land. Because they have to get permission for somebody to do some like that, right?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, BlackRock is literally dropping hot fudge sundaes on Minnesota right now as we speak, not cleaning up any of the fudge and then buying up all of the land. And you can look it up. It's happening right underneath us. Another one, and this is where we can talk about RFK a bit more. Looks great with his shirt off. Incredible. Wears jeans to work out.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's Chuck
voice
Norris,
of an angel.
Chuck Norris level type of commitment.
Right?
Jeans working out.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We wonder how he's so tan year round. Is he using, what is it called? Where the sun reflects? Is he, he's putting chemtrails through
the solar
so he can tan more? This is what this is what the people want to know.
This is, yeah.
But he is like really trying to, he claims he's going to be, you know, taking a lot of these reprehensible actions to task. Under Trump's second presidential run, RFK is going to be the lead of Health and Human Services, and he's meeting with chemtrail experts. And he's like, we have to put a stop to all of this. Like, none of this is okay. The people do not deserve this, obviously. And also the people deserve to know. He's trying to bring a transparency to government actions. And I haven't seen that kind of accountability ever.
Yeah.
And if he's going to do it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, man. I support it. Yeah. Anybody that's really trying to make a change and ain't just talking, I support it.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, now we want you guys to support this video by commenting. Let us know what you think about chemtrails. Do you think there is some big conspiracy? Do you think we're overreaching with this? Do you think that we are spot on? Or did we miss something that you know that we should have talked about? Put it in the comments. Let us know. All right, let's learn and burn together. You feel me? Because a lot of times we miss stuff or we don't have time to talk about everything. So we're going through these comments. Let us know what you know. Share it.
And also follow Tahir more on all of his socials. He's coming to a town near you to perform. The man is on TV. So watch the shows he's on. Support him, please.
Also, follow Mike. He has a lot of shows coming up. He's traveling all over. Very handsome guy. Always has a 5 o'clock shadow. It's kind of his thing. Okay? So go ahead and follow this handsome guy and support him. Also, outside of this podcast, because we both got a lot of things going on, but we can't do any of it without you.
All right. I'm going to go take a different kind of dump. See you next time.
I'm finna do the same thing. It's finna be a clothes off dump.
Oh man,
It's a pants off, shirts off type of dump situation I going on.
You want to talk about full body condensation trails?
As always, I'm Tahir Moore.
Mike Glazer.
We'll see you next time on another episode of High in the Sky.
Peace.
Peace, guys. If you love this or that kind of tickled your fancy, you should definitely check out our TikTok episode where they're talking about mind control and the real reason they want to ban TikTok. Check that out right here.